Hello everybody, my name is Christina Tomasic and I wanted to share some exciting news with everybody. I have now opened up my hand-dyed yarn store on Etsy. You can always head on over to Etsy and look up Serenity Fibers to go and view all the colorways that I have come out with. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm pretty active on Instagram and I show a lot of the pictures and what's going on and a lot of times the process while I'm dyeing a lot of these yarns. You can also contact me on serenityfibers1@gmail.com. I will also create a Serenity Fibers Ravelry group if you guys want to join and start conversations or ask me anything. I would love for you guys to go and post the objects that you are knitting with my yarns. I love to go and see what they look like and the beautiful things that you guys are making. But I wanted to also share that I will start regularly kicking out some videos, and primarily they're going to be based on the colorways that I'm coming out, the yarn bases that I'm introducing to the shop. I'm kind of undecided of how often I would be doing these videos and how often, if it's going to be a regular update every week or every 2 weeks. If I'm going to update the yarn to the store, to the shop every week or every 2 weeks. Or if I'm just going to do it as the yarn is dyed, dried, and ready to ship and ready to sell. If you have any comments or any suggestions, you could comment below. You could shoot me an email, whichever is great and fine. But I wanted to talk a little bit about me so that you know who I am, and then I'm going to go and also have a segment of all the colorways that will be updated or have been updated to the store. And then after that, I am also going to show the things that I am doing at the moment, my current spins, my current whips, things that I have finished knitting, such like that. So a little bit about me. I am a wife, I am a mother. Actually, well, my husband's name is Russell. We've been married for 7 years now. We have been together for 9. When we got together, we both had 4-year-olds. He has a 4-year-old, or he had a 4-year-old son, and I had a 4-year-old daughter, Morgan, and his son's name is Joey, Joseph, Joey for short. And of course we got married about 2 years later, and then about a year after that we had our first child together, Peyton, whom is 6 now. And then 3 years after that we had another little girl. Her name is Jillian. And you've seen the 6-year-old. If you go and view the unboxing, the spinning unboxing video that I usually have up once a month, you'll see on the March video, you'll see Peyton. And just about almost every video except the first video, you've probably seen Jillian, Jinjin for short. But she's 3 years old right now. And our 2 oldest are 13 years old. They're about headed into being young teenagers at the moment. So I've been knitting for a while now. My mother taught me how to knit when I was a child. I don't even remember what age I was at the time. I was so young, and I think I knitted for a little bit. I had a short attention span, and I know I didn't knit. I learned how to knit, and I didn't knit for years until about the time that I was a teenager. And my mother has taken me. She was going to go to a store, or a yarn store, to go and pick up some yarn, and she had taken me with her. And I saw this beautiful blanket, and what they had did, the construction of the blanket was where you knit in from the middle and you knit outward. It was a rectangular blanket, And the theme, or the really wonderful thing about this blanket was that you could follow a color scheme and then knit blocks of different yarn in different colors and follow a color scheme, and you'll have this beautiful knitted blanket. Well, I fell in love with the blanket, and what I wanted to do was basically just follow a color scheme and just knit tons of yarn and tons of texture and different kinds of colors. So my first colorway, or the first theme that I went with of course, was my favorite colors, green, blue, and purple. And that day I think I got 3 balls of yarn, green, purple, blue. And after that I was hooked. I just kept on knitting, and after I did those 3 skeins of yarn, I took the blanket back to the yarn store and then figured out what were my next 3 colors or yarns I was going to do following the color scheme that I had already set myself. And that first blanket had so many different textures. I wanted to knit with so many types of yarn with different textures, and I just kept knitting and knitting and knitting this blanket and adding on more skeins and more and more and more, to the point where I believe that first blanket that I knit, I didn't ever want to put it down. It got so large. I actually think it would fit a king size bed. And it got to the point where I had to bind off. I had to bind off. And I believe my mother had been trying to convince me for a while to bind off and move on to another project. And I finally did. And then of course, after I did, I didn't go to knitting a scarf or knitting a hat or knitting gloves or socks like that. I started another blanket. And I believe my second blanket had the natural brown color scheme. I started with a cream base and went to beige and then went to a darker brown and then just continued with that color scheme. That blanket did not end up as large as my first though. And I think after that I even knit another blanket. But I just loved knitting when I was a young teenager. When I went to college though, I know that I dropped off of knitting for a couple of years, and it was primarily because I was working a full-time job. I went to school full-time. I think I even had another part-time job. I didn't knit as much because of the fact that anytime that I had leftover or free time, I was studying or doing something. But I did pick up knitting again, I would say in my 20s. And that's when I started knitting so many other different types of garments. Socks, gloves, hats, scarves, sweaters, cardigans, and then of course once my kids were born, I started knitting them things. I think when my first daughter was born, Morgan, I knit her, or I actually crocheted my first object. I crocheted my first baby blanket. I don't tend to crochet very often. Every so often I will, but I enjoy knitting so much that I just don't crochet very often. But I've been knitting for years. Also, I love designing my own things. I love the process of looking up stitch patterns and creating, creating a project. And I tend to do it all the time. I tend to go and create my own pattern than go and buying a pattern, just because I love the process so much. I love the search and find and swatching and designing something. I don't know, I love doing it. And I've been knitting, for years now. Let's say, I would say about a year ago is the first time that I actually got a spinning wheel. My stepfather actually got it for me. I think it was more because I was bugging him so much that I really wanted to learn how to spin. And I love spinning. actually about a year or two before that, I was very interested in spinning. I really wanted to learn, but I was a little afraid of the big investment of a spinning wheel, and especially when I didn't know if I would actually love to spin. So I believe my mother actually got a drop spindle because she was wondering if, she was interested in it too. And I started off with the drop spindle, and because I really wanted to know if it was something that I enjoyed doing. And from the drop spindle, I really enjoyed drafting and creating yarn and seeing the colors, especially if it was a or a fiber that was dyed in different colors, and then mixing and seeing what I come up with. But I didn't really, I enjoy drop spindling, of course, but I didn't enjoy the fact that it would take so long for me to do. And I couldn't really get a handle on spinning the drop spindle and continuously spinning it while I'm drafting. So I got a little frustrated with that, but I enjoyed the drafting and the spinning aspect of it. And then of course, my stepfather actually got me a spinning wheel, and I just fell in love with spinning, and I spin all the time. And I think actually for the first 4 months or so, I did not even pick up any of my knitting needles because the only thing I wanted to do was spin. And then after spinning, that's how I got into dyeing my own fibers and yarn. And then, of course, when I picked that up, I just enjoyed it so much. I kept on dyeing all kinds of things. And of course, that's how I got into opening up my own Etsy shop of hand-dyed yarn. So that's a little bit about me. We're going to go and actually move on to showing you the colorways that I have come up with, so you can actually see live the colors and what they look like. So when I got my sample yarn, I really wanted to provide a sock yarn, and a good sturdy sock, but something that wasn't too coarse, something that would still have enough nylon and be strong like you would need for socks, but wasn't coarse and was still very soft and squishy and just wonderful feeling, because nobody wants to have coarse, itchy fiber and yarn socks on their feet. So I actually picked a yarn base that has 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and I'm calling it my merino sock base. And this is what it looks like. This was actually the first batch of colors that I actually dyed with my sample yarn, because I wanted to see how the colors played with the batch or with the bases. So this is my green dragonfly colorway, and this is the merino sock. It is a 4-ply, so it is pretty strong, and that's the reason why I picked the 4-ply, because I wanted to make sure that it was something that was going to be strong and sturdy. I had enough nylon, and it was also soft. And just, this is my favorite colorway. I mean, of course, my favorite color is green. So, and I just love this. It has greens, blues, and a little bit of gray and black to go with it. And I just love how the green and the blues just interacted. All right. Now the other yarn base that is going to be in the shop is my alpaca sock base. Now this one, I'm calling it alpaca sock because it does have nylon in it, and of course it has alpaca in it and merino. It is a 60% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 20% alpaca. And the reason why I got this was because I wanted to provide something else that was just a little bit softer but still had the nylon content, so you could go and make yourself some really strong but soft socks. And because it's the majority of the fiber in this is merino, it's going to keep its shape a lot better than if it was 100% alpaca. It will also be strong because it has a 20% nylon in it, and it won't fray so much. It will not stretch out as much because you only have 20% alpaca in it, but it is a lot softer than the merino sock because of the alpaca. And here's the alpaca sock base in the green dragonfly colorway, and I just love this base. It is my favorite so far. It's just, I'm knitting with it right now, and I love it. I actually want to go and make myself a sweater with this because it is so soft, and it only has 20% alpaca in it, so it's not going to stretch so drastically. Just, it's scrumptious and wonderful, and I want to get some more so I could dye some more colorways. The second base that I will be providing in the future is my Silky Merino base, which is 75% superwash merino and 30% silk. It is a single ply yarn, and I am just in love with this base. The silk content just makes any color, just the colors on it just shine. And it has 438 yards to this, and I love this yarn base. It just picks up dyes so beautifully, and it just shines. I love it. Now I am hoping for my second update, my next update, to provide this base, and it should be in the shop, and it's just beautiful. Just to let you also know, because I didn't tell you, the merino sock base has 463 yards, and the alpaca sock base has 437 yards. So what I want to do is go and show you the colorways that are updated in the shop, and we're going to start with my colorway Orange Stone Lizard. And I actually got the inspiration for this colorway. I was looking on Pinterest and looking up cool, interesting things, garden ideas to do with the kids, and there was this orange, black, and gray stone that was placed to look like an orange, like a lizard, and it had an orange body outlined with gray and black in it. And so I wanted to go and actually dye something in those colors, and this was what I was able to dye. And this is the Orange Stone Lizard colorway in the merino sock base, and it is just beautiful. It's my favorite right now. Well, I'm going to probably say that about just about every colorway I have, but I just love this orange. And I'm not usually an orange person, but I love the orange on this base. It's beautiful, and it really, really pops out, and I just love it. And there you go. So I have two skeins in the merino sock. I really want to make socks for myself with this. All right. Now I also have two skeins of this in the alpaca sock base, and here you go. And it took up the dye beautifully as well. The speckles on here seem a lot more punchier than for the merino sock base, but it's turned out just beautiful. All right. I also have another colorway. It's my Faded Rose colorway. And I have two skeins in the Faded Rose colorway on the merino sock base, and I just love this color. It took me a while. I was actually mixing up dyes to get the perfect rose, antique rose, maybe to dusty rose color, and this is what I came up with, and I love it. It is so beautiful. I want to make myself a sweater with this color. And that is in the merino sock base. And then I also have two in the alpaca sock base. Now, because of the alpaca content, and I've noticed this with all the other colorways, not with every colorway, it seems to be different with depending on the colors that you're dyeing with. Especially for this one, it seemed like the alpaca didn't grab as much of the dusty rose color that I was adding to it, not so much as the merino sock base, but it gets a lot of the brown faded lighter dusty rose from it, and it still has a lot of dark dusty rose like over here, as you can see, but you could tell it's a little bit lighter, and you could really see when you hold up the merino to the alpaca. So this is the merino sock and this is the alpaca sock, and you can actually see the difference. And they were dyed in the same batch. It's just every fiber reacts differently to the dyes. They take up the dyes differently. So these two are in the alpaca sock colorway, or alpaca sock base, yarn base. All right. The next colorway that I have in the shop now is Teenage Angst. My daughter wanted to join me on a dyeing session, and she wanted to help and have her own colorway and create her own colorway. So she was playing around with, or mixing a lot of the dyes to get the perfect kind of green bluish color, and she also wanted to try her hand at speckling as well, which she loves speckling. But this is the color that she came up with. It's Teenage Angst on the merino sock base, and it's beautiful. The red and the green and the bluish green just pop out so beautifully. And I have two skeins in this colorway on the merino sock base, and I only have one in the alpaca sock base, and this one took up the colors beautifully, just beautifully. There you go. Now the next colors or colorway that will be in the shop is a mystery batch. It's a one-of-a-kind mystery colorway. Now what I usually do when I have my dyeing sessions is that I combine leftover dye into jars, and at a later time I go and dye batches with it and see how the colorways end up, which is always a mystery. And at the beginning when I started doing that, I was a little afraid that everything would turn out black, brown, gray, but I've been pleasantly surprised about the colors that turn up with this, and it's just beautiful. So I have two colors, or two skeins, in the Ocean Depths colorway, and I've actually named them Ocean Depths 1, 2, 3, and 4 because two of them are drastically different than the others. But I have two in the merino sock. This is one, and this is Ocean Depths 2. Now these ones are pretty close together, so if you wanted to go and get them and knit a project that requires more than 463 yards, you could get both of these to make a bigger project or a larger project, because the colorways are so similar to each other that, you know, they will look good together. Now, these are in the merino sock base, and I only have 2 of these. Now the other 2 are on the merino sock yarn base, and this is Ocean Depths 3. And do you see how dark this is? I love what happened here. I'm not sure if you can actually see it, but of course it's a blue color that came out, but because there was a little bit of red in the dye, it almost has like a reddish over dye to it. And when you're looking at it close up, you can actually see it turns out a little bit purple, and it's so beautiful up close. Now I'm not sure if it'll transfer through to the video, but it's just gorgeous. I love this skein. Now this is the one that turned up a little bit darker than the rest, or much darker than the rest. And then we have Ocean Depths 4. Now this is the one that actually turned up a lot lighter than the others. And this is in the alpaca sock base. And you can see it's a lot lighter. It does have a little bit of darker streaks to it, but it is dramatically lighter than the others. And you can see. And these were dyed in the same pot. It was just that this base just decided to soak up all the dye as fast as possible. But there you go. Now all of those colorways will be in the shop now. I will probably do another video the next time I go and update some more colorways to the store. And I will be adding the Silky Merino 1-ply, the 70% superwash merino and the 30% silk to that as well. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to go and see the colorways as I'm doing them. Okay, so this next segment, I am going to go and show you the things that I'm working on, things that I finished, things that I'm planning to actually do. So the first things first, I know that I've already posted on Instagram a object that I was knitting, and those were socks for my husband. I am actually finished with them. The only thing I haven't done is weave in the ends and block them yet, but they are off the needle and I am so happy. And there you go. Of course it's hard to really see, but this diamond shape actually trails up through the front. Let's see if I can actually show you the front. But it actually travels and then it goes to the side and goes up. And I am so happy these are off the needle. As I mentioned in Instagram, I knit these on size US 0 needles, and it was the first time I've ever knit anything on size US 0 needles, and my hands didn't really like it very much. I'm not really a loose knitter or a tight knitter, but I do tend to grab the needles a little hard with objects that are, or knitted objects that are smaller or just smaller around, like fingerless gloves or just gloves in general, and socks. But when I use a size US 2, it's not so hard that they hurt my hands or my fingers. But the size 0s just made my hands and fingers cramp a little bit, so I couldn't work on it for too long before my hands started hurting. So I would start knitting it, or I would knit it in segments, like do 2 or 3 rows, maybe 4 or 5, put it down for a little bit, and then the next day or a few hours later I would knit another 2 or 3 rows. I think even one time I put them down because I was just getting fed up with my hands hurting, that I just put it down for like a week or two, and I was just like, I'm mad at you. You can have a break. I'll knit something else. But I am happy that these are off. My husband loves them. He's already tried them on. They fit perfectly. I wanted them snug, and that's probably the reason why I chose US 0 needles, is because he wanted them tighter so that he could wear them to work if he wanted to, or with shoes and not just around the house. So these are off the needles, and these are my finished objects, and I have, of course, I have two. And I have two of them. Now, the current thing that I am actually spinning at this time is something that my husband hand painted. I was doing experiments with hand painting roving, because I've dyed roving in the pot, kettle dyed it, but I've never actually used sponges to go and hand paint roving. And so I did a batch. I think I did 2 rovings that were rainbow. It was also an experiment. I had gotten a whole bunch of new dye colors, and I wanted to actually see what they look like before I started using them, to know what to expect. So I actually hand painted 2 rovings in a rainbow colorway. But after that, my husband wanted to go and do his own, and this is called Gray Days. It was a light blue, light gray, and white. He wanted to see how it would be when you mixed up the colors. When I was drafting and the colors mix a little bit. And this is what I've gotten done so far from it. Not sure if it'll be too white. Ooh, there you go. You can see it a little bit better now. That's what I've done so far. And this is I believe it's a 19 micron superwash merino, and it's very soft. That's the reason why I'm actually going to keep it as a single ply yarn, because it's nice, soft, and beautiful. Now the next thing that I am working on, or I will be working on actually, it's my next planned spin to do, is a combo spin. And so, of course, with combo spins, usually you choose a color scheme. You pick 1 or 2 colors, or roving, or different fibers, and you have to have a theme that connects all of the fibers. So I am doing a color scheme that's going to be more of a natural colors, whites, a little bit of browns, creams, but something that has a little bit of Angelina or other little pops of color, very subtle pops of color. So my base yarn that I'm going to use is actually something that I got from my local yarn store, yarn and fiber store, Knitting Fairy, that is here in Texas. And this one, the fiber artist named this fiber blend, I believe it's Angel Wings. It is a blend of superwash merino, cashmere, silk, and Angelina. It's beautiful, and it's so soft. I mean, I would love to actually have like a pillow made of this. But let's see if we can actually get the Angelina to sparkle out of that. Not sure if you could see it. You can see a little bit of it. And it's predominantly white, with just the Angelina in it. Alright. And the next thing that I am also going to add to this combo spin is, if you've seen my other videos, my unboxing videos from the spinning box, I got this on my December spinning box. And this batch I got from Full Circle Artworks, and it has brown Shetland Corriedale sari silk in it. The whiter fiber has Merino Romney Gold Angelina and Merino Romney Rainbow Firestar in it. And the reason, of course, why I chose this is because it has little bits of color in the natural colors, in the natural colored fiber. And here, let's see if I could get a good one for you to go and actually see the little bits of color that's in here. So as you can see, there's some of the sari silk in there. Okay. And this one is just the natural white with a little bit of gold Angelina in it. I'm not sure if you can kind of see a little bit of the sparkle. Kind of see it at the edge right there. And then let's see if I can find one with the Rainbow Firestar. This one is so fine that it's very hard to see the color, but there it goes. You could kind of see it a little bit. All right. The next thing I'm going to add is some fiber that I got from the spinning box in the February box. And this one is from Ranching Traditions Fiber. And this bat actually has Targhee, silk, and sparkle in it. And it's just beautiful. It is so soft. And I love the Angelina that's in here, or the sparkle that's in here. See, and it's like a rosish rose and a little bit of goldish color that's in here. The next thing I'm going to add in here is something else that I got from the February spinning box. And this is from the Spunky Sheep Fiber Farm. And this bat, the colorway is called Fairy Dream Cloud. It has Polwarth CVM, Firestar, and something called Ingeo. I've never spun it before. And here's the color. And this is actually going to provide a lot of the color. So I'm going to go and make sure that this is throughout the whole spin, so some pops of this color come out. There you go. And it's beautiful. And the last thing that I'm also going to go and put in this is something that I also got, I believe, from the February spinning box, is something that I got from Twin Mommy Creations. This has South American Corriedale Falkland, Cheryl nylon, and some sparkle in it, or Angelina in it. And it's beautiful. It's natural white, but it also has pops of pink and green in it. And I'm hoping that this will really get that, you know, nice pop here and there throughout the yarn of the pink and the green. And when I actually do this spin, I'll probably do a video of the process, me prepping the fiber, how I spin it. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to do a single ply yet, or I'm going to do a 2-ply or a 3-ply. Not sure yet. It really depends on how much I want the colors to interact together and blend together. So, but I will keep you updated on that. The next thing that I do want to go and show you is what I'm actually knitting at the moment. And this is actually, I've also put this on Instagram. When my daughter did her first colorway, she of course also loves the alpaca sock base that we chose, or that I chose. And she also wanted for me to make her a cowl out of the colorway that she created off of alpaca sock. And she wanted something that was light, fluffy, a very long cowl so that she could wrap around her neck several times when it's really cold, but also when it's a little bit warmer, or because of course right now it's springtime in Texas. But when it's kind of warmer outside, she would like to have it long so that she doesn't get too hot. So I am knitting a cowl for her at the moment. On the fingering weight alpaca sock, and what I did was a 2x2 ribbing, and then the majority of the cowl is going to be honeycomb brioche. And I love knitting with the alpaca sock base. It is so beautiful. It is so soft. It's such a great yarn to knit with. It's so scrumptious. It's just squishy, and it's alpaca. I love it. And I love the colors, and that's the reason why I picked the honeycomb brioche, because I really wanted I wanted to do something more than just a stockinette stitch, even though the stockinette stitch would actually really reveal the color of this yarn or of this colorway, but I wanted something else with a little bit more texture to it, but still see the colorway and the pops of color and the speckling that's happening. So I did a whole big swatch trying to see which stitch pattern I wanted to do. So the brioche actually really mixes up the colors really well and shows off the speckling and the color play. It is beautiful. And these are on US size 5 needles. These are my signature needles, and these are my favorite needles. We have in Texas, in the DFW area, we have the DFW Fiberfest that happens around, usually it's either late March to the beginning of April. This year, I believe the Fiberfest is going to be the weekend of April 8th, which I plan to go. But every year that we have the DFW Fiberfest, I get a new pair of signature needles for myself. And these are the needles that I got last year, I believe. And I love them. Love, love, love them. The first year that I got signature needles, I got them so I could go and knit my husband a sweater, which I still haven't finished yet. But I'm basically almost done. I've gotten all the way up to, it was a sweater that I knit from the bottom up, and I'm to the shoulders right now. All I have to do is go and do a Kitchener stitch or attach the shoulders, attach the seams, and then I have to start the sleeves. So maybe on my next video that I do, I'll go and show you that. I'm hoping to go and knit this first, maybe get these spins out, and then get out that sweater, and then finish it and knit it exclusively. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but I'm not a monogamous knitter. I knit several different things. I try not to start too many things, because then I'll have 10 different things laying around the house that I'm knitting, and it will take longer to get any one done. So I try to usually have something that's a little bit more have something that I really do have to pay attention to, that I really want to knit, but it's going to keep my interest. And then I like to have something else that's more of a mindless knit that I could watch TV with. If me and my husband are watching TV or something like that, I could knit and not have to pay a lot of attention to. But there we go. That's what I'm knitting at the moment, and as I progress with this knitting, I'll go and show pictures on Instagram. Alright, now the next thing that I want to talk about is a giveaway that I am going to do. To enter into the giveaway, please subscribe below to the YouTube channel and then comment below. And at the end of the giveaway, I will go and randomly select somebody to win this skein of yarn in the green dragonfly colorway on the Merino Sock blend, or the Merino Sock base, and it's fingering weight yarn. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards, 100 gram skein. And let's say I am going to go and choose a winner for this giveaway a week from this video. So I'll go and enter in the giveaway down below. I will also enter in the date that I will be choosing the winner of the giveaway. I will also show or list the giveaway on Instagram as well. And I am so excited. I want to know who actually wins. But once you comment below, I will contact you so I could go and get your address, whatever, so I could go and send you this skein of yarn. And I also might go and throw in some stitch markers that I am also making for my shop, my Etsy shop. But there you go. I am so excited to see who actually gets to win this skein of yarn. But there you go, and that is all for today, and I will see you on the next update. Thank you for watching.